Welcome back to Sustaining Food for Thought. In this video, we are talking about our experience at Polyface Farms. We went to the Polyface Intensive Discovery Seminar in July, I think. And so we just wanted to share our experience with that.
If you haven't heard of Joel Salatin before, he is a world-renowned farmer, author, and lecturer. His family farm is in Swope, Virginia, in the Shenandoah Valley. Polyface means the farm of many faces. So they don't raise just one thing on their farm. They raise cattle, pigs, broilers, broiler chickens, turkeys, rabbits, egg-layer chickens, and they provide food for an on-site farm store that they have, but they also provide food for people all across the United States.
Okay. The 2-day intensive that we attended was packed full of so much information.
So much.
Yes, it was so good. It was a little overwhelming.
Overwhelming, yeah. At the end of the day, we were like, we just took in so much information. How do we even process that?
Yes.
Lots of notes. Lots of notes.
Well, the first day we had poultry processing, we had rabbit processing, we had composting, we had pastured broilers, duck eggs, brooder, rental farm tour, rabbits, hairpin shop, hoop houses and horticulture, leasing land, broilers, cut up. So like whenever they are processing
the chicken,
like,
they let them sit.
Yes.
Right? Was it in just water or?
Water and like a little vinegar, I think.
All day.
Yeah.
Well, most of the day until they piece them out.
Yes.
So we got to see that,
which was really cool to see that process. Relationship marketing and farmers market.
So that was just the first day. It was what, like 7 in the morning to
like 9:30.
Well, no, it wasn't that way. But it was probably like 7 or something. Okay. It was kind of like at the crack of dawn, and then as the sun was going down, kind of, we had dinner and stuff. Mm-hmm. But they just took us to all the different places. That's how it worked. We just were going from one thing to the other throughout the day. So it was pretty exhausting.
Yeah, and there was lots of different people at Polyface teaching the subjects, which I thought was super cool.
Yeah.
How so many people know.
Yeah, it was very cool.
Mm-hmm. So I loved the community feel of the farm.
That was my favorite.
Yeah, it was really
favorite
cool.
thing. Definitely. Yeah, just biggest takeaway from the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, what is your biggest takeaway besides the community?
From the first day, it would definitely be chicken processing. Mm-hmm. And how they do it so efficiently, but also just so humanely. I've processed chickens, but before I was cutting their heads off.
Yes.
And what exactly does that do or something? I think it technically suffocates them. It doesn't let the heart pump all of
the blood out
properly.
It's not necessarily it is.
Our chickens were good.
They were fine.
But the most humane way to do it is the halal or kosher method, which is just slitting the two arteries. Yeah. We won't go into much detail. No. Halal is actually it's Islam, and then kosher is Jewish, but it's the same. It's the same thing.
Yeah, and because when we're raising animals, we want to do it
the most humane way possible.
The most humane way. We want, and that's why we are raising animals, to do it differently than just
and commercially processed birds. Yeah, I've maybe heard it before, but I'm not really sure if I had or not. But apparently they are usually processed by being electrocuted, stunned, or gassed.
Yeah,
I was like, that's
violent,
very horrifying. Yeah. So just knowing, being confident in doing it the other way. I think I was just a little scared to do it the other way, because it's if their head's off, they're dead. Yeah. But at the same time, the other way is more humane. It was really cool to see how efficient they are at doing it. Yes. I mean, they're pretty much professionals. They have done who knows how many birds.
I know.
Millions of birds.
Within the 30 minutes we were there, they processed 100 birds.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
In an hour, they can do 200 with 8 people. So seeing how efficient they can be, it's amazing.
Yes.
And then just seeing the whole process and how efficient they make it. It's like they do it on a huge scale, but on a small, like a small level, like what we would do on our homesteads. They just are amazing.
It's pretty much set up the same way we have ours set up, which is
I mean, their setup's a little better.
It's a little bigger.
A little bigger, and it's more like, what is that? Like, they just have a line, you know?
Yes.
I don't know if I was
but it's cool to see they're not in this like factory, they're outside. It's just cool.
It's just really cool. That was definitely. So was that your biggest?
That was my biggest takeaway. Seeing how efficient they were, because whenever we process our chickens, it takes a minute. It takes almost all day, which is okay. It's just,
and it's still. I mean, it's awesome that we're doing it. Yeah. But it is really funny to see that they can do over half of what we can do in 30 minutes. Yeah. That we can do in like 5 hours. So
yeah, that's so true. But. I think watching them do the gutting too was so cool. They were like
10 or 20 second process. 10 to 20 seconds. Was ridiculous.
And I was like,
it takes me at least 4 minutes.
Yeah.
But we're learning. So it was good. That was definitely my biggest takeaway. But everything was amazing. I loved learning about the composting, and we got to even go on one of the properties that they lease and
just learn about how they do that. And it was cool to see. And the compost was so neat because they took the guts from the chicken processing that when they did the rabbit and chicken processing, and they brought it over, and then they just showed how they composted it.
Yeah, they just put it in, because they have wood chips. They have just massive piles of wood chips that they stick it in.
Yeah.
I want to get better at composting, so that was pretty cool to see.
Yeah, the hoop houses were super cool too, because he showed us some tomatoes that were growing that were...
They haven't replanted in how many years?
He said like 20
or 30 years.
Or 30 years, and they just come back every year.
And they were like, yeah, you can eat any while we were in there, and they're like, you can take some if you want. So we actually both brought some tomatoes back and saved the seeds. Yeah. And we actually have them coming up.
And they're growing.
They're like, they all germinated, which is super cool. So I'm excited. I'm like, I have Polyface tomatoes. Yes. And I don't even know, it's a cherry tomato of some sort, but I don't really know what it is. I'm just like a Polyface tomato.
It's just fun to have. Yeah.
It's super cool. The second day was just as full. We did so much. Overall, what did you like the first or second day better?
I honestly liked the second day because it related to me a little bit more, because it was more in the woods and we were learning about certain things that you'll hear about. But
so we got to. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They were both so good.
So because the chicken processing was really cool, because that's really applicable to my life right now. But then also, learning about the woods and stuff, like you were saying, we both have a lot of woods that we could use. So it was cool to see how we could do that.
Absolutely.
With pigs and stuff. So we got to go to the pig pastures and learn about the pigs in the glens and pond building, silviculture, bandsaw mill. We got to see Joel with his mill and using it. It was very cool. Their hay shed, which was like crazy full of hay, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah, it was really full. It was cool, like how they stack it up, and it's crazy. Yeah.
And salad bar beef. What did we? Was he talking about his cows? I'm assuming.
He was talking
about he does it.
Like, we went into the hay shed and he had
I think just grass-fed, grass-finished beef.
Yeah, like why do that?
And he calls it that because he actually has a book written.
Yes. I think he was
called Salad Bar Beef. They were talking about working the cattle chute. We got to see that.
Yes. Yeah.
And then we got to see the pastured turkeys, which was really cool.
Yes,
since you were. Wait, did you have your turkeys yet, or you were about to get your turkeys?
I had just gotten my turkeys, I believe. They were, or maybe I hadn't, or I was about to.
So it was very,
it was really cool because I was like, this is what I need.
Yeah.
They're about to, be at the stage
you did
of
have
being,
them already.
I think I did, but they were in like a brood
Yeah,
box.
because they were so little.
And so that was really cool to see how they do it.
Yeah, we got to see their eggmobiles.
Yes.
And then the Millennium feather net. And then we got to see their sheep, which one of their, I don't know, one of their contract farmers does the sheep, right?
Yeah, it's like one of their employees.
Yeah.
They get to do the sheep.
Fully in charge of the sheep.
Yeah. So,
but it was very cool.
Very cool and full
so
of information.
What was your biggest takeaway? Was it just?
Oh, I can't decide one thing because I learned so much from all of them. Like the pigs is so cool because that's something. Super cool. Like that's my next project, just to try is pigs, and so that was so cool to see them and see how they set it up. I know you love the pond building.
Yeah, I was gonna say all the water stuff was super cool, like the irrigation, the pond building, and then just how they literally have like gravity fed pressure everywhere on their farm, like because they have a lot of ponds now. They've built a lot of ponds throughout the years.
They only have one well besides for like their houses that they use for farming stuff, and that's for the chicken processing.
But they literally just have ponds at different levels on their property, and so they get to
irrigate and they
are able to
feed water. That's what I meant. Water the animals.
Yeah, with that water, which is really cool to see.
Yeah. The silviculture was super cool because it was like showing how you can turn your woods into like
pasture.
Yeah, and it's really neat, and even how like say I didn't want it to be pasture, but I wanted it to have a lot of oak trees for my pigs so they could eat acorns. How you can kind of like manage your property so that the oak trees can produce to their best ability. So that was so cool.
The measuring out of the distance between trees and which ones are the healthiest, and then just taking out the like weak links and stuff. Yeah, it was very cool.
It was cool. Joel, he loves using a chainsaw. And he cut down a humongous tree while we were there.
Oh yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. But and then like to explain what an eggmobile is, it is.
Oh yeah, sorry. I was just like,
no, it's so
they're movable structure for their egg layers, and they move it behind their cows, like a few days behind their cows, because the chickens just stay like around it, and they like eat the fly larvae that are in like the cow patties.
Yes.
So it's super cool, like relationship between the cows and chickens. It's really awesome how they do it.
I think that's so neat how he's using the animals he already has to help him, you know.
And I guess the Millennium Feathernet is similar.
It's very
but they
similar.
have I think they just have hens in the eggmobile, and then in the Millennium Feathernet I think they do. They have like roosters and hens. They have like hundreds of chickens. It's actually a little intimidating.
It is.
I'm like, there's so many chickens in here.
And they had a goose in there too.
Oh yeah.
So it was cool. But yeah, I love the pasture turkeys. It was cool to see. They moved the turkeys when we were there, and it was just cool to see their process for it. And it's crazy how much they eat, and they need grit. And so like the rocks that they were giving them.
Oh yeah,
I was like, that is
we were like,
a rock. And so that was something I hadn't thought of, which was really cool. So yeah.
Something funny about the water thing was how Joel, he's really big on not hauling water.
Yes.
And so he was talking about that. I guess, I don't know.
I think when we were at the pond.
I don't think it was. I think it was just showing us some of the different tools and things in his
and how he buries water lines. Because they have like 12 miles worth of water lines.
And he made he was like, everyone repeat. Don't haul water. So it was really funny. Because,
it was hilarious.
Yeah.
It's something he's very adamant about because
you can. It really adds up.
It's very inefficient to haul water.
It's very inefficient for sure. But I mean, on like the scale we're doing it at right now, it's not the biggest deal.
Yes.
But you just have to decide where your priorities are going to be, because you can like waste a lot of time if you actually calculate how much time you haul water. You're like, wow, a lot of my day was spent hauling water.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was really funny.
Yeah. No, that one. It was
But yeah, it was a very, very awesome 2 days.
2 days. Yeah.
amazing. Because both days, were from like 7 to 7-ish, I think. And it was exhausting mentally, kind of physically some of the time, but most of it was just like my mind absorbing so much information. I was like, this is so rich.
Like, don't want to miss anything. Yeah.
I think that for me, it was more like of a just wealth of information than I have learned from any college class I've taken, because we've done dual enrollment. Or any, I don't know, like
information that's applicable
to my life. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because it was so amazing. Yeah. Like, I was like, this is awesome.
Yes. It was just
so much I could learn from it. Like, I think that was, better than any college class I could take and learn from.
Yeah.
So it was it
made me super excited just to go and do it. And like the Lunatic Farmer movie that just came out is very similar to what we did. Obviously, it's, you don't get the real life experience, but
he does talk about a lot of it. Yeah,
I watched it with my family, and I was like, oh my goodness, I can kind of share.
And it was really cool too, because we got to meet like a lot of awesome people. That was, I think, just the most exciting thing for me to see, was the community and how they get it done. Because sometimes I can be discouraged. I'm like, wow, that's amazing, but how on earth would I be able to do that? And the thing is, you can't really. You can't do something that big by yourself. So like the Polyface team and how they get stuff done is just amazing.
It's really cool. Yeah.
And just their community, it's so real and genuine. And we just got to meet so many awesome people.
It was so cool, like how the meals were set up, everybody. And we asked them if this is just for the event or if it's for, like, if they do it when people aren't
And they do it several times a week. They have like a family dinner, which is really
just with
awesome.
Anybody who's on the farm. And so it was so cool. And they're genuinely, they genuinely know each other and enjoy working with each other, and they're just joyful. They're happy to be there. And so I think that's such a important key into any like successful business, but into the farm. It just makes it a fun place to visit. So
definitely. It was very cool.
We just wanted to share some of the highlights of our trip. It can be really hard to share an experience like this, but it was
when you're not there.
When you're not there.
But we're very thankful we got to experience it together.
Yes,
because it would be hard to like
we get to relive the experience together too.
Yeah, all the memories were together. So it was very awesome.
It was really awesome.
And we just wanted to share some of that.
Yeah. So thank you for watching.